This is a Dynamite Network podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
Happy Halloween, everybody! This episode is the big event that Jonathan and I have been talking about all Halloween season. We are surprising you guys with a team duel. That's right, normally we only do team duels every 25 episodes. But we're squeezing in one for this Halloween holiday because we think it's just going to be that awesome. That's right, we're pitting DCeased against Marvel zombies.
Spooky!
Both DC and Marvel have had critically acclaimed and fan-loved zombie story arcs, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun pitting these DC zombie characters against these Marvel zombie characters. We're going to put their stats into our simulation runner and find out which group would actually come out on top later on this episode. Before that, we're going to break down the comic book movie news to come out this past week, of which there was only one news item worth discussing. That is that Daredevil Born Again has gotten a showrunner, Dario Scardapane, who was a writer on The Punisher. So that's pretty exciting. We'll talk about that coming up. But as always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
As our listeners may know, our duel simulator is so advanced that it's gained sentience and has named itself the artificial lifeform for running extensive duels, just a rather very intelligent simulator 9000, or Alfred Jarvis 9000. He has a quick message for our listeners, so listen up.
Why, hello there. Do you love listening and chatting about Marvel and DC? Then become a part of the Dynamic Duel community on Patreon, where you can choose from 3 tiers. The Dynamic 2.0 tier lets you listen to this podcast without ads and gives you access to its Discord chat group, where you can chat with Johnny DC and Marvelous Joe. The Fantastic 4 tier gives you that and more, with 2 bonus episodes each month, including bloopers and top 10 shows where Johnny and Joe count down your favourite Marvel and DC subjects. The X-Force tier makes you an executive producer of Dynamic Duel, where every month you help the host choose what to review and who to fight against each other. And finally, the Dynamite Podcast Network tier allows aspiring podcasters to create their own battle-focused show using this Monte Carlo simulator. Johnny and Joe will help you develop your show, provide graphic support and consultation, and get you simulation results to announce on your show. Pitch the twins your show via email at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by reaching out to them on social media. Check it out at patreon.com/dynamicduel. Pip pip cheerio.
Thanks, AJ9K, and thanks to everyone who supports the podcast.
Be sure, guys, to listen to the Max Destruction podcast this week, which is part of the Dynamic Podcast Network. Today, Ken will be dropping an episode, and tomorrow. So you're going to get 2 episodes this week. You're going to find out who's going to win in a fight between Candyman and Leatherface and Predator versus the Alien Queen.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Also, make sure to tune into Senjo World this Thursday to find out who would win between Bakugo from My Hero Academia and Deidara from Naruto. Visit dynamicpodcasts.com or click on the link in our show notes to listen to all of the shows in the Dynamite Podcast Network.
But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize. A No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on Instagram and in our email newsletter for the person that we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week we asked, which Marvel or DC character do you think would make for the most awesome anime series, and why? And this was coming off of the interview we did with Zach from Senjo World, which is in the Dynamite Network. We got a lot of great answers here. There were no bad answers for this, but let's go ahead and break down our 3 honorable mentions, as well as the No Prize winner.
Our first honorable mention goes to Miggy Matanguihan, who said,
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Miggy, and I think Monkey Prince would make the most awesome anime series. I'm taking CJ Kraft's answer. He answered a couple weeks ago for what animated series would you, or animated movie would you want to see? And he answered Monkey Prince. And I think he would make a good anime. So yeah, keep up the good work, guys.
Yeah, I loved this answer. Right away when I heard it, my mind went to Hitmonkey, which was a fantastic anime series, and I would love to see something like that in the vein for Monkey Prince. Just super stylized, super fun. It would be awesome.
Yeah, we recently had a duel episode with Monkey Prince where we pit him against Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a really fun episode, and it was really cool to learn about Monkey Prince and his pretty interesting backstory, steeped in Chinese mythology.
Great answer, Miggy, and also to CJ, because Miggy stole the answer from you. Our next honorable mention goes to Travis Herndon, who said,
Hey guys, Travis here. So my pick would have to be Lobo. I feel like you could easily make a cool Lobo anime, have the same blood and gore as Castlevania with the same comedy as the Harley Quinn show. And I believe it's time for the main man to get an anime series. So my pick would definitely be Lobo.
Yeah, there aren't many genres that do violence as well as anime does. It's just so over the top with gushing torrents of blood and gore. And Lobo as a character was designed for exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't probably do a character like Lobo justice in a different animated genre, right? Like, I couldn't see a great Lobo series done like Adventure Time or something like that. It has to be anime. I think it would be awesome. The character of Lobo himself is so stylized, and so is the art form. So, yeah, I think they suit each other really well.
Well, I mean, Lobo was done pretty well in like the Bruce Timm Superman animated series and some other animated movies that we've had, like Man of Tomorrow. But it's also a very tamed down version of the character. And if you want to stay true to him, yeah, you definitely got to make it anime, or it should be anime.
Great answer, Travis. Our next honorable mention goes to Abner O'Terry, who said,
Hey guys, this is Abner O'Terry coming at you with the best answer for this question. Mine is Blue Beetle. Like the whole situation with his scarab is just like perfect for the anime world.
Yeah, of course, we recently gave an answer of Blue Beetle as the no prize win for which character would be best in a video game, but I equally think that Blue Beetle would be great in a anime series as well. Just with how cool and kinetic and action-packed the character is with his technological components, it would be so cool just to see him go Super Saiyan.
Yeah, it would fit squarely within the shonen genre where basically the character Blue Beetle would discover a new power as he becomes more acquainted with the abilities of the scarab throughout each episode, and he'd kind of grow in might as the series progressed.
Yeah, just like my adventures with Superman. You know, Blue Beetle would be perfect in that genre of anime as well.
Honestly, the only reason this answer didn't get the no prize win was because we had just given the win to a Blue Beetle answer a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Great answer, Abner. We want to give a quick shout out to Christopher Minotti, Brandon Estergard, and Mitchell Smoothie for taking the time to visit our website and record an answer.
Yeah, those were also great answers, including Mr. Mixespitalik, Vixen, and Mr. Negative. But the winner of this week's no prize is Nate Mantaneo, who said,
Hey guys, Nate Mantaneo. I'm going with the obvious answer on your question tonight. I think that Penny Parker would make an awesome anime because she is anime and we've always seen her. She's been anime and I love anime, and her with SPIDR would be awesome, and I just want to see that because I love superheroes and I love anime and mix them together and I just love it. Bye guys. Thanks.
Yeah, Penny Parker is a fantastic answer. Of course, she's a Japanese character, most recently seen on the screen in the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I think she'd be fantastic. Yeah, it would be great to have a series with her, following her adventures with the spider robot and her spider pal. But I would also like to maybe extend this answer to include all of the Spider-Verse. An anthology series where she basically travels Spider-Verse and meets different Spider-Men would also be cool because honestly, I think any Spider-Man would be awesome as an anime.
Yeah, it could sort of be like an isekai adventure, that genre of anime where the main character travels to a new land and just experiences that, learns all about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. I'm honestly disappointed that Sony doesn't already have something like that in the works, considering the success of the Spider-Verse animated films. You'd think they'd want to spin off something to keep that franchise going.
Yeah, maybe after the third film in the trilogy is done, they could continue to explore those worlds with something like a Penny Parker anime. That would be amazing. I do have to say, though, as great as this answer was, no one said the most perfect answer, which is Amethyst from DC Comics. She's a character who realized that in another world, she's actually a magical princess. And that would be absolutely perfect for not only like a magical girl anime, but also, like I mentioned, an isekai.
Actually, that's interesting because my wife, I told her to call in with an answer, but she didn't. But she suggested that a great Marvel anime would be Scarlet Witch, kind of in the vein of WandaVision meets Paprika. I don't know if you saw that anime movie, which is about dreaming. So it would just be really mind warpy and reality bending. I thought that was a great answer too. So shout out to Ari, even though you didn't, call in. But congrats to Nate for winning this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. And now that that's done, on to the news. Marvel Studios has taken their Daredevil Born Again series back to square one and are creatively rebooting the series. They previously let go of writers Chris Ord and Matt Corman because they want to take the series in a different direction. They decided that their previous system of making Disney Plus series the same exact way they make their movies no longer works for television, and so they're going to take a more classic television production route with their television show making process. And that'll include, writing a show Bible, hiring a showrunner, and in some cases even producing pilots. This past week, we learned that the Daredevil Born Again series has already landed its showrunner, so Marvel has really wasted no time, which is fantastic. But the showrunner is going to be Dario Scardapane, who has worked on not only shows like Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, but also previously he's done Marvel work with The Punisher for Netflix.
Which was awesome. I love that series.
Yeah, it was a great show. It really seems like Marvel's trying to kind of stick to the tone that was previously established by the Netflix series with the Daredevil Born Again show. So I think that's fantastic news.
It honestly is like the best news I've heard for this series. I was really worried that Disney was going to screw up a Daredevil television series, but this is the best thing they could have done to make it just like what we got before with Netflix.
Right. Well, I mean, because they weren't going to make it better, right?
Right.
Disney Plus was not going to do a better job than Netflix with the Daredevil show because the Daredevil show was near perfection. So you're right. The best thing they could do is continue that series forward, at least tonally, if not in continuity. In addition to the showrunners, Marvel has also hired a couple of directors, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who are co-directors that have also done Marvel television, including episodes of Loki Season 2 and Moon Knight.
They were actually the lead directors on Loki Season 2.
Right. And both of the shows, Loki and Moon Knight, are incredibly cinematic. So I would like to see them carry forward that very grand feel to a Daredevil show and make it really feel like a movie of sorts. I think that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
This is all great news. I was like shitting my pants a few weeks ago when I saw that Marvel was rebooting their series, but it really seems like they're making a lot of really great decisions, not just in the talent that they're hiring, but in their approach in general. So I think the Daredevil show will be all the better for it, and I'm really looking forward to it, even though we don't know when we're going to get it, probably sometime in 2025 or something. But speaking of Marvel television and the former Netflix television shows, that brings us to our question of the week. What was your favorite Netflix Marvel television series and why? Of course, that includes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and The Defenders. Record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message could be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and award that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to Instagram and our email newsletter. Be sure to answer before November 4th. But I think that does it for all the news for this episode, so let's get into the main event where we find out who would win in our spooky zombie apocalypse matchup of DCeased versus Marvel Zombies.
Welcome to the zombie apocalypse, y'all!
That's right, it's an all-out gore fest as we find out who would win between the DCeased and the Marvel zombies. Both of these series came out within the past 15 years or so. Geez, actually, I think Marvel Zombies came out in the mid-2000s. It was a comic book series written by Robert Kirkman around the same time that he was writing The Walking Dead. It's a fantastic, shocking, depressing comic book series that was adapted recently to animation in the Marvel Zombies episode of What If, which was a fantastic episode. Definitely a departure from the comic book series in the story it told, but no less gruesome and kind of freaky and scary and kind of fucked up too.
Yeah, I mean, DCeased has not been adapted to any kind of animation style, but it was critically acclaimed. Actually, the series just wrapped up earlier this year in April in 2023. It was written by acclaimed comic writer Tom Taylor, who's popular for also doing the Injustice comic book storyline that really expanded the story of the video game.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. We're really excited to bring this Team Duel episode to you guys on Halloween Day. We knew from the get-go, once we saw that this episode was dropping on Halloween, that we had to make it special.
Yeah, it's not too often you get to see zombies fighting zombies, so I think this will be a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, actually, initially, this was going to be just a standard 1v1 duel, but once we read the comics, we knew that we had to cram as many zombies as we could within this battle.
Yeah, I actually had a really hard time narrowing down my 7-character roster. Kudos to the executive producers who really helped out with that.
Running team duels is a lot more difficult than running 1v1 duels, but to explain the methodology behind our duels, let's go to our sentient duel simulator, Alfred Jarvis 9000. AJ9K, tell our listeners how you go about determining a winner in these team duel matchups.
Yes, of course, sir. The way I determine a winner between the two teams is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations between every character on each team using their statistics. A Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling. In this case, I randomize the statistics along a normal distribution as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters are based on the official Marvel power grid, from which the DC characters' statistics are extrapolated. Additional stat categories are included such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception in order to create a more detailed and accurate simulation. The results of the 49,000 simulations provide a percentage of wins for each character on both teams. The team with the higher average win rate is declared the victor, as they have a higher probability to win any given battle. In an equitable pairing, neither team should win 100% of the matches. The comic book stories have shown that there's even a way for Batman to defeat Superman, so the confidence rate of my method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the source material. My mathematical simulations are without subjectivity or bias. Feats are not the sole consideration, nor are fan votes tabulated for determination of the winner.
Thanks, AJ9K. Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down the histories and rosters for each team before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the many simulations would play out beat for beat. And I believe it's my turn to go first with the DC backstory, so let me tell you all about the storyline of DCeased. Spoiler alert if you haven't finished the series. After a massive victory by the Justice League over Darkseid's attempted invasion of Earth, the tyrannical Darkseid retreated to his distant planet of Apocalypse, just as Earth's heroes realized that Cyborg was missing. Darkseid had captured Cyborg during his invasion and tortured him on Apocalypse, believing his body, half human, half new god technology, was encoded with the final remnant of the anti-life equation that Darkseid needed to control every living being in the universe. In order to keep Cyborg alive long enough to extract the equation, Darkseid summoned the new god embodiment of Death, the Black Racer, and unknowingly merged some of Death's essence with Cyborg just as the equation was fully deciphered. Darkseid, infected by the techno-organic virus that was now the corrupted equation, was consumed by madness and killed the Black Racer, just as Darkseid's chief scientist, DCeased, boom-tubed Cyborg back to Earth in an effort to send the equation from Apocalypse. But it was too late. Darkseid leapt into the fires of Apocalypse and unleashed his full Omega power, annihilating the planet. Once Cyborg arrived back on Earth, his systems reconnected to the internet wirelessly, and he accidentally uploaded the anti-life equation to the internet. The virus spread quickly, as anyone who viewed a screen was exposed to the equation and driven mad with the need to kill any unaffected living being in their vicinity, with them also being capable of spreading the virus by blood contact. Though Superman was able to realize what was happening fast enough to save his wife and son, Lois Lane and Jonathan Kent, Batman was unable to save Nightwing and Red Robin, who attacked and transmuted the virus to him, forcing Alfred to kill all three. Batman's son Damian, who was with Jonathan when the virus struck, survived, as did Green Arrow and Black Canary, the latter of whom became a Green Lantern after she was forced to kill an infected Hal Jordan. The surviving heroes assembled at the Daily Planet in Metropolis, as instructed by Lois Lane in a message she managed to broadcast from the Daily Planet. Metropolis was soon destroyed, however, after an infected atom breached Captain Atom's metallic shell, infecting him as well and causing him to detonate his atomically energized body in an explosion that destroyed Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Metropolis. The heroes at the Daily Planet and Lex Luthor were the only survivors of the explosion, thanks to Black Canary protecting them with her Green Lantern ring. When Earth's remaining uninfected population being sheltered on the Paradise Island of Themyscira and a dense forest in Gotham City created by Poison Ivy, Earth's surviving heroes assembled at the Fortress of Solitude, away from the infected, where Cyborg and Lex Luthor created plans for interstellar arcs that could take Earth's survivors off-world. When Mr. Terrific failed to develop a cure, he learned from the New Gods Mr. Miracle and Big Barda that the source, Apocalypse, had been destroyed. They attempted to recruit John Constantine to provide a magical solution, to which Constantine revealed that one did not exist. Planning on using Booster Gold's time machine as a last resort, Big Barda became infected and killed Mr. Terrific and Blue Beetle, though Constantine was rescued by Dr. Fate and Zatanna. The remaining members of the Justice League attempted to persuade Black Adam to turn his nation of Kahndaq into a third refuge, as he had killed all anti-living within his borders. But Black Adam refused and became infected not long after, turning his entire nation into an anti-living army soon after. Wonder Woman managed to stop Black Adam, however, by using her lasso to force him to say Shazam and lose his power, after which Superman used his heat vision to sever Adam's vocal cords and prevent him from gaining power again. As the heroes neared completion of the arcs at the Fortress of Solitude, they were attacked mentally by an infected, invisible Martian Manhunter, who managed to also infect the Flash before Firestorm set Martian Manhunter on fire. The Flash, infecting surviving humans across the planet at light speed, was stopped by Superman, who collided with him, only for the Flash's fingers to get lodged in Superman's torso during the incident, infecting Superman, who attempted to flee the planet unsuccessfully before he succumbed to the virus. As the heroes acted quickly to get the arcs to Themyscira and Gotham, Wonder Woman forged a sword from kryptonite and magic in order to fend off Superman and protect the arcs. She failed, however, and was infected by Superman, who went after the now fully boarded arcs as they escaped Earth's gravity. While Cyborg stayed behind with Wonder Woman, Black Canary went after Superman with the kryptonite sword, just as the entirety of the Green Lantern Corps arrived to quarantine the planet. As the arcs successfully escaped, Superman retreated into the sun for protection. Meanwhile, Cyborg bound Wonder Woman with her magic lasso as she transformed into the anti-living, at which point she confessed to him that his code had possessed a cure for the virus all along. Before Cyborg could send a signal to the arcs to inform them, Wonder Woman escaped the lasso and tore off his head. The arcs eventually settled on a planet they dubbed Earth 2, and after 5 years, Jonathan, Damian, and other heroes returned to Earth to check on it, at which point they received a distress beacon coming from Cyborg's head. After rescuing Cyborg, Mr. Miracle and a group of heroes took him to the new god Metron, and Cyborg was able to use Metron's all-knowing Mobius chair to learn how to code a cure for the virus, while Constantine and other magic users defended Earth from Trigon, who attempted to destroy the planet to prevent the virus from spreading across the cosmos. After curing everyone on Earth and Superman, Brainiac arrived at Earth 2 and warned them that the infected new gods were tearing across the universe. Darkseid, they learned, survived the destruction of Apocalypse and infected everyone on New Genesis. After decapitating Sinestro, Darkseid took control of his yellow ring, becoming a Yellow Lantern zombie and infecting the planet-sized weapon and Yellow Lantern home base of Warworld with the anti-life virus. As planets fell to Darkseid and his anti-living army, the god of war Ares manipulated the Owens to order the Green Lantern Corps to attack all other heroes under the belief that it was less of a risk to kill the infected rather than try to cure them. After Mxyzptlk became infected and destroyed the Green Lantern Corps' central power battery, the Spectre sacrificed himself to repair the battery and defeat Mxyzptlk. As Darkseid and his army arrived at Earth 2, Alfred transformed into the new Spectre in order to save Damian, who had become infected by Highfather of New Genesis. The Spectre was able to cure all infected beings on Earth 2, including Darkseid, with the help of Lobo. By this point, it was revealed that the anti-life equation was created by the primordial god of darkness, Erebus, and that he would need to be defeated in order to save the universe. Damian, as it turned out, found the counter life equation within Cyborg's code, and with help from Darkseid, the heroes were able to use a Doom Tube to teleport outside the universe to Erebus's domain, where Damian sacrificed himself while inside Erebus to destroy him and create an entirely new universe. And that's the story of DCeased. Now, the real stars of DCeased aren't the anti-living, but since this is a zombie match, my roster for the team duel match is going to consist of some of the most prominent and devastating members of the anti-living, primarily from the original 6-issue run and the spin-off stories that occurred concurrently. Superman, of course, was a massive and powerful threat to the arcs that contained the last of humanity, so he's definitely one of my team members, though he has a prosthetic metal right arm after losing it to Wonder Woman's kryptonite sword. Speaking of Wonder Woman, she's also a member of my roster, as she, along with Superman, was among the most powerful infected heroes at the end of the initial story. And yes, she's wielding her kryptonite sword. I'm also going with Black Adam, who led an anti-living army against the world, and Captain Atom, who destroyed 3 major US cities in one massive explosion. In that same vein, I'm also going with Martian Manhunter, Big Barda, and The Flash, who killed or infected major characters within the story. So my roster consists of Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Adam, Captain Atom, Martian Manhunter, Big Barda, and The Flash, all of whom you can learn about in their respective Duel episodes. Regarding zombies in DCeased, they aren't technically zombies because they aren't dead. They just become extremely violent with the urge to kill all other living beings. They can be killed by any standard means that the character would normally be killed by, but they also retain any powers and durability that they had when they were among the living, and none of the infected can feel pain. They all also share a hive mind controlled by Erebus that can sense nearby living entities, and finally, the anti-life virus that infects them can also infect technology, as it is techno-organic.
That is quite the powerful team that you have there.
Hell yeah, it is!
But it's not going to be powerful enough against the Marvel zombies who have literally eaten the universe. Let me go ahead and tell you all about them. It all started with a flash in the sky and a ripple through the clouds. A being infected with a terrible plague known only as the Hunger fell onto the streets of Manhattan. The disease spread like wildfire, infecting and transforming anyone bitten. The Avengers of this reality were the first on the scene, including Colonel America, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Luke Cage, and the Wasp, but they were quickly overwhelmed. The Hunger was too powerful, and the Avengers too few. One by one, they fell to the disease. Colonel America was the first, bitten by a zombie and turned into one himself. He then bit Spider-Man, who had arrived on the scene to help. In the confusion, Spider-Man returned home, only to turn and devour his wife Mary Jane and his Aunt May. Ant-Man knew he was running out of time. The virus was spreading through his body, and he could feel the hunger taking over his mind. He had to find a way to survive, even if it meant sacrificing someone else. He lured Black Panther to his hidden lab, knocked him out, and surgically removed pieces of him to serve as a snack for later. From his Asteroid M orbital space station observation deck, Magneto watched in horror as the population consumed itself. He knew that this was just the beginning and traveled to Earth to warn the X-Men what was happening. He led them to join the fight in Manhattan, where the Fantastic Four were already battling the zombies after losing Franklin and Valeria to the zombie She-Hulk. The remaining heroes gathered together at the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, their last hope. Director Nick Fury ordered them to split up to bring as many survivors as possible to the S.H.I.E.L.D. base, while Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and Bruce Banner worked on a zombie cure. Tony suggested the scientists work individually to approach the cure from multiple angles, though secretly, he suspected that humanity was doomed and instead built a dimensional portal device. Reed was driven insane by the loss of his children and came to admire the efficiency of the zombie organism. He claimed it was the next stage of human evolution and infected the other Fantastic Four members and had them feed on him to turn him into a zombie as well.
Damn.
They ravaged the helicarrier and turned the other heroes inside into zombies, including Hulk, Thor, Doctor Strange, and Storm. Meanwhile, virtually every other hero began to fall to the plague during their rescue missions, including the X-Men and Wolverine. Within 24 hours, nearly the whole of Earth's population was a zombie or dead. The remaining zombified heroes reflected on the monsters they had become and the atrocities they had committed, having eaten their friends, families, and those they were supposed to protect. At that time, the Silver Surfer flew over the planet as a herald of the forthcoming Galactus, and the heroes saw their chance at their next meal. While contemplating how to get at the Surfer, the Wasp found Ant-Man's secret Black Panther stash, and he bit off her head to keep it quiet. When the Silver Surfer landed to announce Galactus' imminent arrival, the group of zombie heroes attacked and consumed the herald, acquiring a portion of the power cosmic. These zombies, including Hulk, Colonel America, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Ant-Man, then fried the remaining zombie heroes with their cosmic energy to see if cooking their zombie flesh made them edible. It didn't, and the power cosmic zombies found themselves again without a food source. That is, until Galactus himself arrived. Knowing they were no match for the Devourer of Worlds, the power cosmic zombies retreated to find a way to eat Galactus. Meanwhile, Black Panther escaped Ant-Man's confinements with help from the Wasp's severed head. Together, the two found their way to Asteroid M, where Magneto's acolytes still survived, and they found there the mutant Forge, who was able to fashion new artificial limbs for Black Panther. Shortly after, the zombified Ant-Man, Iron Man, and Bruce Banner developed an amplifier device that would increase the output of power cosmic energy directed into it. With the device, the zombies were able to injure Galactus enough to topple him, though an army of villain zombies tried to fight them for Galactus' flesh. Although Colonel America fell in the battle when the Red Skull pulled his brain out through an opening in his skull, the other heroes were able to destroy the villains, and they feasted on Galactus as a reward. Now known as the Zombie Galacti, they left the planet and journeyed across the universe, devouring every single life form. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Kingpin used the Jackal's cloning tools to set up an economic system among the remaining villain zombies where they did his bidding for the opportunity to feed on the clones. In an effort to increase their food supply by invading other dimensions, Morbius and Deadpool traveled to the mainstream Marvel dimension through the nexus of all realities in the Florida swamp. Though Deadpool was reduced to just a head, Morbius was able to disguise himself as his mainstream counterpart and pretended to work on a cure, but secretly planning to infect all the heroes. Fortunately, Machine Man was able to save the mainstream Morbius, who in turn recruited a new iteration of the Midnight Suns to combat and contain the virus. Decades later, back in the zombie reality, the zombie Galacti returned to Earth after eating the universe. Looking to use Tony Stark's dimensional portal device to invade other realities, they discovered that Black Panther, Forge, and the Acolytes had rebuilt a small society of survivors on Earth called New Wakanda. But more than that, they saw that the severed heads of the Wasp and Hawkeye, after spending all this time not feeding on human flesh, had overcome their hunger. Shocked, Spider-Man and Luke Cage turned on the other zombie Galacti and joined New Wakanda, which protected itself with an impenetrable force field. Hungry, The remaining zombie Galacti left New Wakanda and traveled to the Baxter Building to try and find the dimensional portal, before realizing it had been in New Wakanda this whole time. The New Wakandans prepared for the zombies' return and for battle, revealing that Colonel America's brain had been rescued and preserved in a new body. Though New Wakanda was unable to stop the zombie Galacti from getting through their force field, the zombies realized that they too had overcome their hunger just prior to feasting. All the zombies, that is, except for the Hulk, who in a rampage killed Hawkeye, Iron Man, and several Wakandan citizens before reverting to Bruce Banner and begging to be killed. The remaining zombies, Wolverine, Colonel America, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Black Panther, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, helped rebuild New Wakanda. And though the crisis appeared to be at an end, the zombies were ultimately betrayed by the New Wakandans, who didn't trust the hunger to never return, and they were sent to another dimension using the portal device. Scattered across a new universe and stripped of the power cosmic, some zombies reverted to their old ways, such as Ant-Man, while others, like Spider-Man, tried to stop the disease from spreading once again. Ultimately, all it took was Ant-Man biting the Hulk, who in turn bit the Sentry, for this new dimension to fall like the last. The three largest alien races in the universe, the Skrulls, Kree, and Shi'ar, led by Black Panther, the Wasp, and Luke Cage respectively, couldn't stop the disease. During a final stand between the good and bad zombies, the Sentry was captured in the blue area of the moon, where Ant-Man tried to use him as an energy source to power the Watcher's dimensional portal. There, Spider-Man unleashed a chemical weapon he had created against the zombies, using his old foe the Sandman to spread and destroy every last member of the undead remaining. With only the trapped Sentry left standing, the cosmic being known as the Watcher teleported him back in time to another dimension, creating a time loop between two realities, where the zombie virus would remain confined. The Sentry landed in this new dimension above Manhattan, arriving with a flash in the sky and a ripple through the clouds. And that's the Marvel Zombies backstory. For this team duel, I'm going with the Zombie Galacti, the group of zombies that devoured the Silver Surfer and Galactus, imbuing them with the power cosmic. This includes Spider-Man, Wolverine, Hulk, Colonel America, Iron Man, and Luke Cage. In addition to their regular powers, all of which you can learn more about in their respective Duel episodes, each of these zombies can fly at orbital speeds, fire devastating power cosmic energy blasts, rearrange matter, and have a minor level of awareness at a cosmic level, which helped them locate life forms to consume. As zombies, they are tremendously difficult to kill, and can only die if their brain is completely destroyed. The zombies' teeth can apparently get through anything, as even people as durable as Luke Cage, the Silver Surfer, and even Galactus were able to be bitten. Although they normally retain their intelligence, the zombies start to lose rationality as they get hungrier and their minds become more obsessed with eating. The hunger for living flesh itself is entirely mental, as even severed zombie heads hungered, though after weeks without food, the hunger would eventually dissipate. So again, my roster is Spider-Man, Wolverine, Hulk, Colonel America, Iron Man, and Luke Cage.
So I am confused. What was the origin of the zombie virus?
There was no origin. It's like a time paradox, basically. The being that caused the virus in the first place was the Sentry, who was sent back in time by the Watcher after the zombie virus had already spread to that new universe. So it had no beginning and no end, really.
Well, that's dumb.
The Marvel Zombies story was eventually rebooted within the last few years, I think. It was called Marvel Zombies Resurrection, and they kind of reimagined the story as a virus sourced from diseased Galactus.
Okay.
But the Robert Kirkman story is the classic. You know, that's the one that everybody knows, and it's a fantastically dark story.
Yeah, I mean, it's freaking Robert Kirkman. I do love the fact that the title of it is Marvel Zombies, which is a moniker bestowed upon anyone who reads only Marvel comics, because they're just so ridiculously devoted to the company and will only read that, even though there's better shit out there from DC, no less.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that there are people who only read Marvel because it's just better. There's no such term as a DC zombie, because no one out there reads just DC because it's not good enough.
I mean, I only read DC.
You DC zombie.
All right, now that we've got the storylines and the rosters out of the way, let's speculate on how one of these simulated matches will go. The winning team is determined by simulations, not this speculation, but it's fun to imagine how the fight could play out. Alfred Jarvis 9000, what are the rules of our speculation?
Well, I should say there are no rules, other than the teams have no prior knowledge of the other going into the fight. All they are aware of starting out is that the other side is a threat that needs to be eliminated. For the speculation, the groups will begin approximately 50 meters apart in a nondescript environment that will have no bearing on the match itself, as no environmental statistics are considered in my simulations. The teams must earn victory on their own merit.
All right, then let's get into it. DCeased and the Marvel Zombies meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? All I know is that first off, if the deceased are actually technically still alive, then that means they are food for the Marvel Zombies. And that is going to get the Marvel Zombies like really excited. It's going to send them to a ravenous glee.
Okay, fine, that's fine. I'm going to say the deceased go first, though, because we have a speedster on our team, the Flash.
Right.
And he's just going to start off by running right up to the Hulk, since, you know, he's a big, burly guy, and he's going to phase his arm right into the Hulk's torso, just making a giant hole and spilling the Hulk's guts out.
Well, fortunately for the Hulk, he doesn't need guts to function, so he's going to react to the Flash's attack by grabbing the speedster's arm, and then when the Flash tries to run away, he doesn't run away with the arm, because Zombie Hulk just ripped that thing off, and then he eats it.
Okay, I mean, the Flash is off using his Speed Force to heal his stump arm now, and the two teams are just going to clash. And Black Adam, he's going to start by sending a lightning bolt at, let's say, Wolverine, because, you know, he's a conductor with his metal skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
And that lightning is just going to sizzle Wolverine to a burnt crisp.
Again, that's not going to do anything. Wolverine's just going to smile, this charred smile. Actually, Marvel Zombies are probably always smiling because they don't have any lips, you know. But meanwhile, Ant-Man's going to grow into Giant Man, and he's going to stomp onto Martian Manhunter, pinning him to the floor so he can grab him underneath his boot and then just devour him.
No, because Martian Manhunter, he would just phase through the floor and just like leave Giant Man to wonder what the heck just happened. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman, she's gonna run through Spider-Man with her sword, just impaling him at the torso, and then, you know, she's gonna pull out the sword and slice him again, this time just hacking him from shoulder to navel.
Damn! That's pretty violent.
Fucking zombies.
Iron Man sees this, and he's gonna shoot a cosmic unibeam from his armor, and that's just gonna blast Wonder Woman away from Spider-Man, who is going to patch his split in half upper body together with webbing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like super glue.
Okay, meanwhile, Superman and Hulk are going to be going to blows with, you know, Hulk probably trying to eat Superman. But Superman, he's going to keep him at bay by freezing the Hulk's lower body with his freeze breath, and then he's just going to punch the Hulk's lower body right off. So now the Hulk has no legs because they're just shattered.
That's not like the big move that you think it is, okay? But meanwhile, Luke Cage, he's going to pick up Wolverine and fastball special him, hurling him at Big Barda. And Wolverine flies into Big Barda, claws first, just tackling her to the ground, pinning her to the floor with his claws, and then he's just going to rip her throat out with his teeth like a hungry wolf.
Except that before Wolverine gets one bite in, he's going to get blasted off of Big Barda by Captain Atom, who's then going to fire another quantum blast at Colonel America that takes the top part of his skull right off, just exposing his brain.
Well, it probably only took off the top part of his head because Colonel America was raising his shield up to his head. So the Colonel actually redirects a large part of Captain Atom's blast, reflecting the energy beam right into Black Adam, blasting him.
Okay, I say that the deflected beam also severs one of Giant Man's legs because, you know, Colonel America wasn't really aiming that well, and Giant Man is such a massive target. Now, Big Barda, she's going to leap up Giant Man's severed leg hole, and she's going to explode out of his chest with her Mega Rod.
Jeez. How does that work? She leaps up his leg hole and explodes out his chest?
Yeah, she goes like right into his mushy zombie body.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, at this point, we'll say Superman is trying to use his heat vision to decapitate Luke Cage. But, Luke Cage isn't phased because he has unbreakable skin. So Luke yanks Superman's cape and slams him down to the ground. And with Superman pinned, Luke quickly shoves his thumbs into Superman's eyes, just frying them out of his skull with his power cosmic. So Superman has no eyes. He's blind and unable to stop Luke Cage from biting him.
Dang. I mean, Superman has other enhanced senses, so blindness wouldn't phase him too much. Although I guess like he can't use his heat vision or X-ray vision or telescopic vision or anything like that anymore.
Exactly.
But Martian Manhunter, he's going to stop Luke Cage from biting Superman by transforming into this like zombie demon monster with 2 heads and like a giant mouth where his stomach is, and he's going to just straight up swallow Luke Cage whole.
Okay. But at that time, Spider-Man is going to fly over to Big Barda, and she's probably going to try to blast him with her Mega Rod, but he's going to use his Spidey sense to dodge and then get in behind her close enough to grab her back and then bite her in the shoulder. So now Barda is going to become a zombie and is now part of Team Marvel.
Okay, I saw something like this coming, and I have a theory. Marvel zombies, they retain their intelligence, right? They're just
Correct.
like overwhelmed with hunger. But the anti-living have a hive mind. They're controlled by Erebus outside of the universe. So it's not like their mind would be affected by the hunger. And turning one of the DC guys doesn't make them Team Marvel because technically Erebus still knows that he needs to bring down the Marvel zombies. So basically, all you've done is give Barda added defense because now she won't die if she like gets cut in half or whatever.
No. The hunger overcomes everything. Like Barda would be consumed by it. She would want to feast on whatever flesh is nearby, and the only flesh that's around is that of her DC teammates.
Yeah, I mean, she'll want to feast, but like she won't because Erebus is in control, and he's an elder deity, like way more powerful than this hunger.
Well, maybe Erebus's mind succumbs to the hunger when she's bitten.
Probably not, unless like the Marvel zombie virus can be spread mentally, like telepathically.
No, it only spreads physically, but the Marvel zombies aren't going to stop trying to feed on the DCeased just because the DC guys aren't joining their side. But if they bite them, then that means all they're doing is just making the DC guys more unkillable.
Right.
But I guess not totally unkillable because the Marvel zombies do know about the brain weakness, whereas the DC guys wouldn't.
That's true.
Okay. So we'll say that yes, the Marvel guys can turn DC guys into zombies, but it's not going to turn the DC guys onto Team Marvel.
Exactly. It's not going to make them feed on their teammates. So we'll say that Barda's a zombie now, and the first thing she's going to do is she's going to leap onto Iron Man, who's, flying around, and she's going to drive her Mega Rod right into his chest reactor and upload the anti-life virus into his armor. And since this is a techno-organic virus that also infects technology, Erebus now has control over Iron Man, and he's going to use him to repulsor blast the shit out of Spider-Man.
Wait, what? So I can't make Barda Team Marvel, but you can make Iron Man Team DC?
Yep.
What the fuck?
Technically, it's Iron Man's armor, not Tony Stark, that's infected.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, Tony Stark is the one who's cosmically powered, not the armor. So, realizing that he lost control of the Iron Man armor, Tony's going to use the power cosmic to expel the suit from his body, and then he's going to destroy the armor with a cosmic blast.
Fuck!
So that's pretty easy. And then the Hulk, he's using power cosmic to fly, even though, he's missing his lower legs, his lower half. He's basically just a flying upper torso. He's going to grab Black Adam out of the air and take a big bite out of his leg, just ripping out his quad muscles with his teeth. So now Black Adam's a zombie.
And that's fine. Go ahead and make my guys more powerful. I'm okay with that. Black Adam, he's just going to respond anyway by grabbing Hulk's skull with both hands and electrocuting it with such a strong current that it's going to cause Hulk's brain and head to explode, killing him. So, Zombie Hulk is dead.
Okay, I think by this point, like, Ant-Man is going to be like, guys, biting these people isn't transferring the hunger. Because that's probably what they would think, not knowing that, the other zombies are a hive mind. But, like, I don't know if the team would actually care. Like, Wolverine's probably going to be like, who cares? Eat to kill, So don't just turn them, devour them. So he's going to fly over to Captain Atom and just plunge his claws and teeth into him.
Dude, that's like the dumbest thing he could have done. Breaching Captain Atom's skin is only going to make him explode. So, like, Wolverine, he just gets evaporated at the atomic level, meaning he just basically took himself out.
Shit. Well, as long as he takes Captain Atom with him, that's fine, I guess. Meanwhile, Luke Cage is going to burst out of Martian Manhunter. He basically ate his way out of Martian Manhunter's body, turning Martian Manhunter into a zombie, but also Martian Manhunter is like missing like half of his body mass. It's all in Luke Cage's stomach now.
I was going to argue that like there's no way Martian Manhunter wouldn't have felt half of his body being eaten, but I guess, the DCeased don't feel pain. So, sure. Doesn't matter though, because Martian Manhunter is going to psychically induce vomiting in Luke Cage and reabsorb that mass, all right? Meanwhile, the Flash is going to clothesline Tony Stark at full speed with his good arm and just decapitate him.
Okay, all right. Tony Stark has a severed head, but the severed head is still alive. And it's going to fly right back at the Flash, chasing him and then chomping down on his heel and ripping out the Flash's Achilles tendon, all sinewy, So Flash can't run anymore. He trips. He's down on the ground. And then Tony Stark's head is going to chew through Flash's face until it gets to the brains. And then he's just going to suck up the brains. So Flash is out. And Colonel America, he's going to throw a power cosmically energized shield right into Superman's face, who can't see it coming because he's got no eyes.
No, but I mean, he has ears, so he could hear the shield coming, and he's just going to catch it with his metal arm, and then he's just going to rip that shit right in half because he's fucking Superman. What? And, by smelling Colonel America's rotting corpse, he rushes over to him at super speed, just jamming his fingers right into his face and ripping it wide open, just sending pieces of skull and brain matter all over everywhere.
That was hardcore. Damn. All right, well, Ant-Man saw Superman do this, and he shrunk down from giant man size to miniature size since Superman doesn't have microscopic vision anymore to sense him. And Ant-Man leaps into Superman's head through one of the exposed eye sockets, and then he fries Superman's brain with cosmic energy, just causing it to melt and then leak out of Superman's eye holes and like ear holes and nose, just all the holes on his face. His brain is just oozing out.
Jeez. Okay, dang. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman sees Tony Stark's head flying around, which is like pure nightmare fuel, by the way. And she's going to be able to expertly lasso it and yank it towards her, at which point she just thrusts her sword right through his skull and through his brain, just killing him.
All right, good one. Good one. Meanwhile, Spider-Man, he's going to swing over to Martian Manhunter, who, reformed his body from Luke Cage's puke, and now it's back into like his standard form. Though, of course, Martian Manhunter is missing his lips now that he's a zombie. But Spider-Man is going to slap his hand on top of Martian Manhunter's head, and he sticks it there. And with a powerful yank, he essentially scalps Martian Manhunter, like exposing his brain, which Spider-Man then incinerates with a power cosmic blast. So Martian Manhunter's out, and then Luke Cage and Barda are going to get into like this energy blast tug of war type match, with Luke Cage firing cosmic energy at Big Barda and Big Barda firing Mega Rod energy. And for a while it seems like it's going to be a stalemate, but eventually Luke Cage is going to overpower her energy and take control of her Mega Rod telekinetically and just send it right through her forehead, and it just lodges there. So
wait, the power cosmic gives him telekinesis?
Yeah, in a sense, like the cosmic energy can not only fire energy blasts, but it can rearrange matter and stuff.
Fuck. Okay. Well, while that was happening, Black Adam saw what Spider-Man did to Martian Manhunter. So, while Spider-Man is probably dodging Black Adam's lightning bolts with his spider sense, It's all just a distraction for Black Adam to move in fast enough. And, now that he's a zombie thanks to the Hulk, Black Adam's going to devour Spider-Man and absorb his power cosmic. That's how that works, right?
We'll say no.
Why? They ate Silver Surfer, right? And absorbed his power?
Sure. Okay. All right. So Black Adam gets the power cosmic from Spider-Man, but Black Adam would find eating Spider-Man disgusting, though, because zombies can't really tolerate the flesh of other zombies. So while Black Adam's like retching from Spidey's zombie flesh, Ant-Man is going to grow back into Giant Man, just like massive. It's like bigger than he's ever gotten. With help from the power cosmic, he grows to like the size of Galactus, and he's going to grab Black Adam like he's a freaking toothpick and just bite down on his head and yank it from his shoulders like a piece of taffy. And just grind up Black Adam's brain and skull up in his molars.
You didn't even let me use the power! I can't use Iron Man's suit. I can't use Black Adam's power cosmic. Come on! I guess I just have Wonder Woman left as my last woman standing, as it were. And at this point, she's probably going up against Luke Cage. Now, a normal sword wouldn't be able to break Luke Cage's skin, but Wonder Woman's kryptonite sword is also magically imbued, so that Superman would be weak to it. And I'm guessing Luke Cage also has no defense against magic blades either. So as they're trading blows, I'm going to say that Wonder Woman managed to slice him right in half with her sword, scalp to scrot, just cleaving his brain right down the middle vertically.
All right. She cuts Luke Cage in half. So it's down to Ant-Man and Wonder Woman, but not just Ant-Man and Wonder Woman, because Ant-Man, he's going to have a whole ass army behind him of giant ants,
What?
And these are ants that he's weaponized by experimenting on them with the zombie virus. So he has this legion of like ravenous zombie insects that he commands to just swarm over Wonder Woman, and they tear her limb from limb, and yeah, victory for the Marvel zombies.
Where the fuck did all of the insects come from?
They were shrunk down in one of his little pockets on his belt.
Well, you know how Captain Atom exploded earlier? Whenever that happens in the comics, he's just propelled into the future. And so right after Wonder Woman is fully devoured by the insects, that's when Captain Atom appears, and then he's just going to generate a massive explosion that annihilates all of the insects and Ant-Man. Boom, victory for the DCeased.
I think that's a good counter. Okay, that's bullshit, the whole time travel thing, but we can leave it there. So either one of two things happens in this scenario, depending on the results. Either Captain Atom gets blasted into the future at the end of this match, or he doesn't, and Wonder Woman gets devoured by ants.
I mean, why wouldn't he, though,
All right, let's go ahead and put in the stats for these teams. We're going to run 49,000 simulations in a Matrix-style comparison between all the characters, and we'll be back with the winner.
AJ9K, hit it.
Inputting data, running calculations, processing results, simulations complete.
All right, this was a fun matchup. This was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, the goal was to, at some point, make people sick to their stomach while listening to the speculation. So if we were successful in that, I think we did our jobs here.
Stat-wise, the teams were pretty interesting. I think especially the Marvel Zombies, considering the fact that they had increased durability from the fact that even if they're injured, they could essentially still keep moving and fighting.
Right, their only weak spot is their brain. But not only are they all highly durable like that, they're also insanely fast thanks to the power cosmic. Their damage level is really high, as well as their range.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous about that until, I looked at my lineup and realized, all of my guys are pretty powerful even without the power cosmic. Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Adam, Martian Manhunter, those are among the strongest characters in DC to begin with. It's just that as the anti-living, it's sort of like no holds barred. There's no restraints on them.
Yeah, but their minds are also all gone, replaced by the will of Erebus. So all of the DCeased got a knock on the intelligence stat, whereas the Marvel zombies all retained their normal intelligence. And that was actually the greatest variance in all of the stat categories between the two teams, because a lot of the Marvel zombies are really smart, including Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, Ant-Man.
Yes, yeah. Stat-wise, the Marvel Zombies are pretty impressive. But, I could say the same thing about the DCeased. So, taking all of the stats into account, Joseph, who do you think came out on top?
Marvel Zombies, because they can last longer in battle, and they have the power cosmic, which you don't fuck with. Although the Instagram poll takers don't agree with me. Actually, 55% of them on Instagram said that DCeased was going to take this. Again, I have to chalk this up to too many damn DC fans following us on Instagram. Marvel guys, have a seat. Just sit down. Okay. All right. We got to have a talk. You guys gotta show up. I just gotta say, you gotta show up. You gotta follow us on Instagram. You gotta take part in the polls. We gotta start winning these voting contests because the DC guys are showing you guys up. All right.
Dude, I was actually really surprised to see that more people voted for DCeased, considering the fact that I feel like Marvel Zombies is really popular, even going so far as to have their own episode in What If.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, let's find out who actually won. AG9K, the results, please.
Here you are, sir.
All right, the winner of the team duel between the DCeased and the Marvel Zombies is DCeased.
Fuck you.
What? And, for as different as the teams were, it was close. The DCeased won an even 530 of the 1,000 matches, or 53% compared to Marvel's 47%.
So Marvel won 470 matches out of 1,000.
Right. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to chalk this win up to the excellent roster choices made by our executive producers.
Well, I told them that they didn't stand a chance because all the Marvel Zombies had the power cosmic, so I feel like they just had to pick the most powerful people they could think of.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I have on my roster, which I'm pretty proud of. And I have to wholeheartedly dedicate this win to our executive producers for their fantastic work.
I think we should replace Martian Manhunter and Big Barda and Black Adam with Green Arrow and The Question and Oracle. Then let's rerun the stats.
I don't remember The Question being in the series, but Batgirl was, Green Arrow was. They were both zombies, but Batgirl was killed right away by Harley Quinn, and Green Arrow was not a zombie for very long.
Before he was cured?
Yeah, he was cured.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm starting to regret this whole team duel now.
An all-around win for Team DC. Good job. That was a really fun match, but that does it for this duel. Let us know what you thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Instagram or X. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website at dynamicduel.com.
And on our site, you could also find a link to our Patreon page where you could join our Dynamic 2.0 tier and chat with us and fellow listeners, our Fantastic 4 tier, which gets you bonus content each month, our X-Force tier that makes you an executive producer of this podcast, or our newest tier that lets you join our Dynamite Podcast Network. If you can't join Patreon, you can still support the show by signing up for our e-newsletter, also at dynamicduel.com, so you'll never miss an episode.
Or you could also rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or on our website.
Our next episode is going to be another Duel episode in lead up to the Marvels movie review, which comes out in a few weeks. We're going to do a cosmic level duel pitting the villains of Mongol against Annihilus.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome matchup. I can't wait for that. But that does it for this episode and for Spooktober as a whole. We hope you guys had a lot of fun this month. We sure did. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and big thanks to our executive producers, Ken Johnson,
John Starosky,
Zachary Hepburn,
Dustyn Balcom,
Miggy Matanguihan,
Brandon Estergard,
Nathaniel Wagner,
Levi Yeaton,
Nick Abanto,
Austin Wesolowski,
AJ Dunkerley,
Scott Camacho,
Adam Speas,
and Andrew Schunk for helping to make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Up and away!
True believers.
Take car, go to Mum's, kill Phil, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint and wait for all of this to blow over.